a bunch of dudes with their girls there jamming out at the show, and I was like, oh, this is totally, we're like the girlfriend band.
I know that you guys, that 𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐴 has like so much going on right now. The most current would be the Smirnoff Ice relaunch tour, playing a show in Dallas, which is really exciting. Benefits the Women in Music Foundation, incredible organization that's been around for 4 decades almost now. Would love to know a little bit about the partnership with Smirnoff and putting this show together and all that.
Yeah, they Smirnoff reached out, and as we're kind of a Oklahoma band in our originality, Nick and I started the band in Oklahoma, and we always played Dallas a lot. And when they reached out, when Smirnoff reached out about this relaunch show, we of course we're happy to be a part of it. Just the fact that we are a band from the sort of early 2000s, when I think that brand kind of like came onto the scene in a real way, it felt like it made perfect sense for us to partner up with them.
Yeah, no, listen, I completely agree with you. As what one would call an elder emo myself, Smirnoff was the drink in the early 2000s. I mean, that was the thing. That was what was at every party. That was what you had when you're hanging out with friends. Like it was, and if I may say, the grape Smirnoff was my favorite.
Nice.
Throwing that out there. That was my favorite.
No, you went deep into the Smirnoff lineage. I did not even know that a grape existed.
There was a grape one. There was, and I'll just say it was a great one. It was a good one. But the classic ice, I mean, that's an iconic beverage. I mean, and after that, you guys are headed out on the wet hot All-American Summer tour with some peers, Newfound Glory, Starting Line, Motion City Soundtrack. I mean, that is an absolutely killer lineup, dude.
Yeah, thanks. We're really looking forward to it. We haven't really hit the ground in a real way for about 10 years. So it's really kind of cool. There was something that happened kind of last year when we played a show at this festival called When We Were Young, and it really sort of woke us up to the fact that people are finally ready to admit that they listened to this band who was their secret. Like there was kind of we were always the unsung heroes of the scene, because I think we were popular, and I think people now realize that hell, I guess if it was popular, then maybe it was good.
You make such an interesting point there too. Listen, I saw you guys, and I'm not afraid to say, I mean, I saw 𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐴 Warped Tour, I want to say, in the early 2000s. I saw another show. I know I did. I just can't remember for the life of me when. So it's a little fuzzy. And then I saw you guys open for Blink with A Day to Remember on the it was like after
That'd be like
California, the California album.
Yeah,
I saw that tour too. But you're right. In the early 2000s, there was this explosion of pop punk, pop rock, and all that stuff. But it is kind of weird that like bands like Blink or Simple Plan never really kind of ended up with the same stigma. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure, totally.
Like All American Rejects was exactly like those bands, and I don't understand why people would have a weird attitude. I mean, is that something that you've encountered?
No. I think it was more just about there being a bashful nature. We were the band.
Okay.
We were the band that a lot of I guess I felt like we were like the girlfriend band, because I remember we see a bunch of dudes with their girls there jamming out at the show, and I was like, oh, this is totally, we're like the girlfriend band. But in like most honestly, in a way that at the end of the day, like we're absolutely completely grateful for the lineage that has been created for us by way of pop culture and by way of the post TRL world, where you would we were 17 I was 17 years old when I first went on TRL, and like we were marketed as these kind of young, pop rock boy band. And I think we kind of were, we kind of had it a little bit easier than a lot of other guys or a lot of those other bands, because it was just like we were so fucking young. Uh, and now here we are, 20 some years later, and still getting to do it. It's the greatest gift, especially being able to give back to organizations like along the way, like women in music,
Yeah.
for charity. Like, if you would have told my 17-year-old self that I was going to be a part of something that were not only that I got to continue to do what I loved on stage, but to be able to benefit equality, people, to be like a spokesperson for a cause and a brand that is doing good in the world, in a world right now where we are so divided and like really fucked up as a culture, like to be able to contribute to the good in the world,
Yeah.
still, just not just being the girlfriend band. I think I'm really grateful for everything,
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that's an amazing outlook to have. And I know that people are going to want to know if All American Rejects has new music on the horizon. Is this something you guys have talked about?
It's a big point of contention internally between Nick and myself, our partners in the music. A lot of our contemporaries have really, and I say this quite a lot, and I'm not really ashamed of it. A lot of you can tell a lot of bands that take advantage of their fan base by selling them shit, and we live in a world now where it's just about the sell. So we as a band, maybe it's because we're from Oklahoma, the last thing we care to do is to just put out music to sell people some shit. Like, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it the same reason we started doing it, which was for ourselves. And right now, the discussion is just where do we go to satisfy what we want to create? We're not 17 anymore. We're not 22 when we put out Move Along. We're 26 when we put out Gives You Hell. We're in our late 30s. So to give you a pop rock record that feels like nostalgia, just go listen to those records.
That's a refreshing outlook. I don't think it's unabashed, and I think a lot of people wouldn't say that. I think a lot of people wouldn't say, just go listen to what we already put out.
I'd rather go jump off my wallet.
Fair enough. So we'll just assume it's unlikely, but that's cool. I want to ask you if it's okay.
Never. How about that? Never
say never. Never say never. Fair enough. I want to ask, before our time is up, you've done a lot of acting lately, and I saw that you are going to be on The Idol, and I was wondering if you can say anything about your role, because it seems like it's been somewhat secretive.
Yeah, no, there was an iteration of The Idol before it became before Sam Levinson helmed it. We shot the whole thing with Amy Siemens, the director. And unfortunately, The Weeknd scrapped that whole thing because it didn't feature him enough. And so he rewrote it and reshot it. And that's what you're seeing now.
Understood.
Happy for everyone in that cast. Grateful I am not on this version.
Sure enough. I saw that and I was like, well, maybe I'll just take an opportunity to ask, and I appreciate the candor. Tyson, it's been awesome chatting with you. I really appreciate it. Very excited about everything you guys got going on. I'm going to try to get out there for the All-American Summer Tour, because that just seems like right up my alley. Hey, hope you have a great rest of your day, sir.